12 things you should never accept from anyone. Stoicism, wisdom for life. In this video, we will explore 12 things you should never accept from anyone. These aren't just casual suggestions, they are deeply rooted in the wisdom of ancient Stoic philosophers. The timeless teachings of thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus offer us invaluable guidance on how to live a life of strength, peace, and purpose. We'll break down each of these crucial points, delving into how they can help you navigate the complexities of modern life. Along the way, I'll share insights and quotes from these great Stoics to help you understand why it's essential to set boundaries and reject behaviors, attitudes, and actions that undermine your integrity and well-being. By the end of this video, you'll gain a clearer and more powerful perspective on how Stoicism can empower you to stand firm, live with greater autonomy, and protect your inner peace. So, get ready for a thoughtful and inspiring journey with Stoic in your life, where we'll learn to build a life of resilience and self-respect. 1. Contempt. Contempt is a behavior that degrades and belittles the person on the receiving end. In Stoicism, dignity and self-respect are core principles. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered emperors and Stoic philosophers, once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." This powerful statement reminds us that we should never allow the actions of others to dictate who we are or how we feel. When someone treats you with contempt, the natural reaction might be to respond with anger, frustration, or sadness. But this is where Stoicism offers a different path, a way to rise above the fray and maintain your peace. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism teaches that our reaction is the only thing truly within our control. We can't dictate how others behave or the way they perceive us, but we can master how we respond. Imagine a situation where someone is trying to undermine you, belittling your achievements, or making you feel small. It can sting, and the instinct may be to lash out or withdraw. However, when you choose not to accept their contempt, you're asserting your power over your own emotions. This control is a hallmark of Stoic strength. You are not letting their negativity seep into your sense of self-worth. By reacting with calmness and grace, you demonstrate that their disdain does not define you, and their attempts to lower your spirit fall flat. Why does this way of thinking work so well? Because when you refuse to accept contempt, you're protecting your emotional equilibrium and sense of worth. In a world that constantly throws opinions and judgments at us, standing firm against contempt is a declaration of your independence. When someone looks down on you, but you respond with dignity and composure, you are showing that their opinion holds no power over you. This resilience not only preserves your inner peace, but also strengthens your self-esteem. As Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This Stoic mindset ensures that external negativity does not dictate your internal state. Moreover, not accepting contempt sends a clear message that you deserve respect. This doesn't mean responding with aggression or a harsh attitude in return. It means calmly asserting your right to be treated with decency. Maintaining this inner strength signals to others that you see yourself as someone worthy of respect, regardless of how they choose to act. It sets boundaries and teaches others how to treat you. For instance, in professional environments, if a colleague attempts to undermine your credibility, responding with composure and confidence rather than reacting defensively sets a tone that demands respect. In personal relationships, if someone tries to diminish you, reacting with grace rather than hostility shows that their opinion does not shape your value. Think about how much energy we waste trying to prove ourselves to others or fighting battles that don't need to be fought. By not accepting contempt, you avoid these unnecessary struggles. You save your energy for things that truly matter: your growth, your peace, and your goals. When you learn to detach your sense of worth from how others treat you, you are no longer at the mercy of their judgments. You become unshakable, a person who moves through life with a serene confidence. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the noise and be affected by the opinions of others. Social media, in particular, can be a breeding ground for contempt and harsh criticism. It's a place where people often speak without accountability, and many of us have experienced the sting of unkind words or judgments there. Yet, Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism reminds us that these are just external events. They are fleeting, momentary, and have no real bearing on who we are. The only thing that matters is our inner response. Instead of reacting, we can choose to acknowledge the contempt, learn from it if there's value, and then let it pass without allowing it to alter our course. One of the most powerful things about Stoic philosophy is its ability to empower us to take control of our lives. In refusing to accept contempt, you're not just rejecting someone else's negative behavior, you're asserting your agency. You're saying that your peace of mind is not up for negotiation. As Seneca advised, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." By not accepting contempt, you're proving to yourself that you can face adversity without losing your sense of self. You show that you can rise above pettiness, negativity, and attempts to tear you down. The next time someone tries to belittle you, remember the teachings of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism. Do not let their contempt disturb your peace. Respond with dignity, hold your head high, and remind yourself that your worth is not determined by their words. It is determined by how you choose to carry yourself in the face of challenges. Contempt is a test, and by handling it with grace, you pass that test every time. You grow stronger, more confident, and more aligned with the person you aspire to be. Life will present you with situations where people might try to undermine you, whether in subtle ways or through outright hostility. But you don't have to accept their contempt. Instead, hold fast to your dignity and peace of mind, knowing that your value is not something others can diminish. Let your reaction reflect your strength, not their negativity. This is the true essence of Stoic resilience, staying centered, calm, and true to oneself, no matter the storm around you. 2. Control over your decisions. Let's move on to the second thing you should never accept from anyone: the control over your decisions. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the importance of personal freedom and autonomy. Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, once said, "No person is free who is not master of themselves." This profound statement emphasizes that true freedom comes from our ability to make our own choices and take responsibility for our own lives. When someone tries to control your decisions, they are not just influencing your actions. They are attempting to take away your freedom, your essence, and your right to lead the life you envision for yourself. Think about it. How often do we allow others to dictate our decisions, big or small? Maybe it's a friend who pressures you into choices that don't align with your values, or a colleague who insists on steering your career in a direction you're not comfortable with. It might even be a family member who tries to make every decision for you, from your lifestyle habits to major life choices. Accepting this kind of control means giving up your autonomy and ultimately compromising your happiness and peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us that we are the sole masters of our decisions, and this responsibility is not just a burden, but a privilege. By guarding this autonomy, we safeguard our ability to live authentically and true to ourselves. Why is it so crucial to maintain control over your own decisions? Because every choice you make is a reflection of who you are. Your decisions express your values, your priorities, and your vision for your life. Allowing others to steer your choices means letting them define your identity. Imagine a sculptor handing over their chisel to someone else halfway through the creation of their masterpiece. The vision becomes lost, diluted, and might no longer reflect the artist's intent. In the same way, when you allow others to control your decisions, you are giving them the power to shape your life in ways that might not be true to who you are. A story that resonates with this comes from modern life. Consider the journey of someone who has long been in a career they did not choose for themselves. Perhaps they followed a path laid out by expectations, Parents wanting them to be a lawyer, society pushing them toward a stable job, or friends who said they'd be good at something they didn't love. They might have spent years in that role feeling unfulfilled until one day they made a choice for themselves. Maybe they decided to leave that career behind to pursue a passion they had buried for too long, starting a small business, becoming a writer, or even traveling the world. That single decision, taken in the face of doubts and external pressures, was a reclaiming of their freedom. The relief, the peace, and the sense of purpose that followed weren't just because of the change in profession, but because they had taken back control of their life. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism reminds us that we must be the guardians of our autonomy. When you stand firm in your decisions, you are not just choosing a path. You are asserting your power, your strength, and your right to live as you see fit. It's not always easy. External voices can be loud, persuasive, and sometimes intimidating. But by making decisions that align with your values, you fortify your sense of self and build a life that reflects your true desires. Maintaining control over your choices doesn't mean isolating yourself or rejecting advice. It means listening, considering, and then deciding based on what feels right to you. You can take advice and you can seek opinions, but at the end of the day, the choice must come from within. This is how you build resilience. Life will always throw challenges your way, but knowing that you are capable of making decisions that align with your well-being gives you the confidence to face those challenges head-on. As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. By holding on to your freedom of choice, you remind yourself that no matter the external circumstances, your inner strength remains untouchable. In today's world where opinions are everywhere, and everyone has something to say about how you should live, maintaining this control over your decisions is more important than ever. Social media, societal pressures, and even the well-meaning advice of loved ones can sometimes feel like they are pushing you in directions you don't want to go. But Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us that true freedom means filtering out the noise and listening to that inner voice. It's about having the courage to say, "This is my life and I will live it on my own terms." Life is not about how well you can follow someone else's script. It's about how you can write your own story. The next time someone tries to unduly influence your decisions, remember the wisdom of the Stoics. Keep your inner freedom intact and exercise your right to make choices that serve your growth, happiness, and sense of purpose. Because, at the end of the day, only you will live with the consequences of those decisions, and only you can walk the path that leads to your true self. 3. Unjustified guilt. Guilt, when it is warranted, can indeed be a powerful tool for personal growth. It can lead us to reflect, make amends, and strive to do better. However, when someone tries to make you feel guilty for something that is not your responsibility, it can be deeply harmful to your emotional and mental well-being. As Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wisely said, "The guilt lies not in the feeling, but in the consent." This means that while it is natural to feel guilt, it becomes detrimental when we accept it without question, allowing it to burden us unnecessarily. What happens when someone tries to place the weight of guilt on your shoulders for something entirely beyond your control? Perhaps it's a circumstance of life, like the actions of others or situations that you did not cause. This type of unjustified guilt can be insidious, slowly chipping away at your self-esteem and confidence. It makes you question yourself, doubt your decisions, and sometimes even paralyzes you from moving forward. This is where the teachings of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism come into play. Stoicism guides us to approach situations with rationality and clarity. Before accepting any feeling of guilt, it encourages us to pause and ask, "Is this truly my responsibility?" If it is not, then there is no reason to let it cloud your mind. Why is it so vital to reject unjustified guilt? Because carrying guilt that does not belong to you can lead to a damaging cycle of self-blame and negativity. It's like trying to walk through life with a heavy, invisible weight dragging behind you. This burden disrupts your peace of mind, making it difficult to think clearly, make sound decisions, or maintain healthy relationships. When you allow yourself to be manipulated by unjustified guilt, you give others control over your emotions and, in turn, over your life. This is why rejecting such guilt is not just an act of self-preservation, but of reclaiming your inner strength. By doing so, you free yourself to focus on what genuinely matters: your growth, your purpose, and your well-being. Moreover, by not accepting unjustified guilt, you are setting clear boundaries with those around you. This is crucial because it communicates that you will not be emotionally manipulated, a key element in maintaining healthy, balanced relationships. Everyone is responsible for their own actions and feelings. If someone tries to make you feel guilty to shift the blame or avoid accountability, recognizing this and refusing to take on their burden protects your integrity. Think about a colleague who tries to pin the blame on you for a project that did not go well, even though you were not responsible for its failure. If you accept that guilt, you allow them to sidestep their responsibility. But if you address the situation calmly, explaining where your duties truly lay, you not only maintain your own peace, but also ensure that accountability is properly placed. In modern life, we encounter this kind of situation more often than we realize. Sometimes it comes from family members, who might make you feel guilty for not living up to their expectations. Other times, it might be from friends who blame you for things that were never under your control to begin with. Social media, too, can amplify this feeling, with its endless comparisons and judgments. Yet the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism reminds us to evaluate each situation with clarity and fairness. Ask yourself, is this guilt stemming from something I could have realistically changed, or is it an attempt by someone else to shift their burden onto me? This simple reflection can help you disentangle your true responsibilities from the false ones others might try to impose on you. Seneca's quote, "The guilt lies not in the feeling, but in the consent," is a powerful reminder that feeling guilt is natural, but it is our choice whether or not to accept it. When we understand this, we gain the strength to reject the manipulative attempts of others to make us feel guilty without cause. We learn to differentiate between genuine accountability, which can lead to growth, and unjustified guilt, which only serves to weigh us down. This clarity allows us to maintain our self-respect and peace of mind. Now reflect on moments where you have been made to feel responsible for things outside your control. Can you see how letting go of that unjustified guilt could make you feel lighter, more confident, and more at peace? The next time someone tries to saddle you with guilt, remember to evaluate the situation clearly and justly. If the guilt is not yours, do not accept it. Politely but firmly, assert your boundaries. This doesn't mean avoiding responsibility or denying any wrongdoing on your part. It simply means understanding where your responsibilities begin and end. Unjustified guilt is a tool that some may use, consciously or unconsciously, to manipulate your emotions and control your actions. But you don't have to let it affect you. By staying true to the teachings of Stoicism, you can see through such attempts and keep your inner peace intact. Remember Seneca's words, and remind yourself that the key to living a fulfilling life is to own what is truly yours, your actions, your choices, your responsibilities, and release what is not. This clarity will help you maintain a balanced, healthy perspective on life, free from the chains of unnecessary guilt. So, keep your head high, trust in your ability to discern what is right, and never let anyone make you feel guilty for something that isn't your burden to carry. Ultimately, the way you handle guilt, by embracing what's justified and rejecting what's not, will determine the level of freedom, peace, and confidence you carry through life. If you've made it this far, you're truly committed to your own self-respect and growth. Drop a comment saying, "I stand strong," to show you're ready to uphold these values. Stay tuned, there's more wisdom to empower your journey ahead. 4. Dishonesty. Whether it comes in the form of lies, deceit, or manipulation, dishonesty can deeply damage our relationships and distort our understanding of the world around us. In Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism, truth and integrity are core values that guide a person to live a life of wisdom and virtue. Epictetus, a renowned Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This statement emphasizes the necessity of honesty, not only with others but also with ourselves. Being truthful allows us to see reality clearly, while self-deception clouds our judgment and prevents personal growth. Think about this. When someone close to you lies or tries to manipulate you, it doesn't just erode the trust between you. It can also make you doubt your own ability to judge what is true and what isn't. Dishonesty breeds confusion and uncertainty, and it forces you to question even the things you once felt sure about. The Stoics teach us that seeking truth and maintaining integrity are essential, even when the path is difficult or uncomfortable. Why? Because only by facing reality as it truly is can we make wise, informed decisions. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism reminds us that we must strive to see things as they are, without illusions, and that requires a commitment to truth, no matter how inconvenient it might be. But why is it so important to reject dishonesty? Because living in an environment filled with lies and deceit blinds us to reality, pulls us away from truth, and plunges us into a world of uncertainty and mistrust. When you are surrounded by dishonesty, you are living in a distorted reality, one where you cannot rely on others, and this undermines your peace of mind. In contrast, honesty creates a strong foundation for solid, trust-based relationships. It gives you clarity and a stable ground from which you can make decisions that are just and fair. This truth-driven approach is not only a personal strength, but a vital component in maintaining harmony with others. If you find yourself facing dishonesty, consider how it affects your interactions and the choices you make. Let's look at a modern example. Think of a situation where a business partner withholds information, perhaps hiding details about a deal or misleading you about the state of the business. At first, these small lies might seem inconsequential, but over time, they lead to misunderstandings, lost opportunities, and a breakdown of trust. If you allow this behavior to continue, you are not just letting them deceive you. You are compromising your own integrity by being complicit in their dishonesty. However, when you confront the dishonesty, you protect your values and assert that you will not participate in a partnership built on deception. Moreover, refusing to accept dishonesty safeguards your integrity and sense of justice. By setting this standard, you send a clear message that you will not be dragged into a web of lies and manipulation. This stance not only strengthens your own moral compass, but also reinforces your commitment to living by your principles. As Marcus Aurelius noted, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This simple yet profound advice urges us to act in accordance with truth and righteousness, and by doing so we remain aligned with our values, even when it's challenging. When you reject dishonesty, you refuse to let others lead you astray, and you set an example for others to follow. The modern world, with all its complexities and pressures, can often make honesty seem like a difficult path. We see examples of dishonesty in business, politics, and even in personal relationships. Sometimes it feels easier to turn a blind eye, to avoid conflict, or to tell a small lie to smooth things over. But Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us that truth is the only firm foundation on which an authentic and meaningful life can be built. Without honesty, there is no trust, and without trust, there can be no genuine connection or understanding. Think about how much simpler and more peaceful your interactions would be if everyone was honest, if there was no need to second-guess intentions or uncover hidden motives. That peace is attainable, but it starts with each of us choosing truth over deception. Dishonesty also affects our self-perception. When we allow ourselves to be dishonest, even in small ways, we erode our own self-respect. We begin to see ourselves as untrustworthy, and this can lead to a spiral of guilt and self-doubt. Epictetus advised, "Whoever then wishes to be free, let him neither wish for anything nor avoid anything which depends on others. Otherwise, he must necessarily be a slave." This teaches us that when we engage in deceit or accept dishonesty from others, we are enslaving ourselves to a falsehood, and it robs us of our freedom to live authentically. By embracing truth, we reclaim our autonomy and ensure that our actions are a true reflection of who we are. So, what can you do when you encounter dishonesty? Start by holding firm to your own integrity. Speak truthfully, even when it's hard, and do not shy away from confronting lies. This doesn't mean you have to be confrontational or aggressive. Sometimes calmly pointing out the truth is enough. You might find that by addressing dishonesty head-on, you encourage others to be more honest as well. This creates a ripple effect that improves not just your immediate surroundings but also fosters a culture of transparency and trust. Remember the words of Epictetus: "Seek the truth and maintain your integrity. Do not let others' lies and manipulations steer you off course." Truth may sometimes be painful, but it is always the solid ground upon which we can build a life of meaning, purpose, and peace. Allowing yourself to be honest, even in the face of dishonesty, protects your integrity and strengthens your sense of justice. By living truthfully, you align yourself with the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism and cultivate a life that is authentic and deeply fulfilling. 5. Disrespect for your personal boundaries. We all have our own boundaries, those personal and emotional spaces we set to feel safe, valued, and respected. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us to honor these boundaries as a form of self-respect. As Marcus Aurelius himself once said, "Respect yourself more than you respect others." This powerful reminder emphasizes the importance of knowing and defending our own limits, ensuring that we don't allow anyone to overstep them or make us feel small. Think about a time when someone constantly ignored your personal space, whether it was physical, like getting too close without regard, or emotional, like disregarding your feelings and opinions. This can leave you feeling uncomfortable, anxious, and even undervalued. And if you let it happen repeatedly, it might make you start to question your own worth. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism encourages us to be clear about our boundaries and to communicate them confidently, yet respectfully. When you establish a boundary, you are not just setting a rule for others. You are expressing your self-respect and asserting your right to be treated with dignity. Why is it so crucial to protect your personal boundaries? Because your boundaries are a reflection of how you care for yourself. They are a way of saying, "I value my peace, my time, and my mental well-being." When you allow others to cross those boundaries, you are sending a message that your needs are secondary, that they can be ignored or overridden. This can lead to a decline in self-esteem and a sense of losing control over your own life. How often have you found yourself agreeing to something that made you uncomfortable just to avoid conflict? Or letting someone repeatedly push your limits, thinking it was easier than standing up for yourself? This kind of behavior might seem harmless in the moment, but over time it eats away at your self-worth. The Stoics would tell you that this is where you must draw the line, because your inner peace and your integrity are too valuable to be compromised. Setting and maintaining clear boundaries does more than just protect your well-being. It teaches others how you wish to be treated and sets a standard for mutual respect. When you confidently express your limits, you create an environment where people are more likely to respect not just your boundaries, but their own as well. Think of a situation at work where a colleague constantly offloads their tasks onto you, assuming you'll pick up the slack. If you continue to accept this behavior, it won't just leave you feeling overburdened and stressed. It will also encourage them to keep taking advantage. However, if you firmly yet politely state your limits, saying, "I can't take on extra tasks beyond my responsibilities right now," you assert your boundaries without creating unnecessary conflict. This doesn't mean you are being unkind or uncooperative. It simply means you are respecting your own limits, and in doing so, you are encouraging a healthier, more balanced working relationship. In modern life, boundaries are essential in every sphere, be it at work, in friendships, or within your family. Many people struggle with saying no, fearing it might lead to conflict or disappointment. But what Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches is that saying no when necessary is not a selfish act. It's an act of self-respect. If you constantly prioritize others' needs over your own, you might end up feeling exhausted, resentful, and disconnected from your own desires. Setting a boundary is like drawing a line around your peace of mind. You are telling the world, "This is my space and I will not allow it to be disrupted." It's an act of self-care that reinforces your worth and helps maintain your inner balance. So, how can you start protecting your boundaries today? Begin by identifying what truly matters to you: your time, your energy, your mental health. What are the things you need to feel secure, respected, and at peace? Once you have a clear sense of your boundaries, practice expressing them confidently. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but each time you stand up for your limits, you reinforce the message that your well-being matters. And when others see that you respect yourself, they are more likely to follow suit. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism would encourage you to see this as a practice in self-discipline, as a way to build the courage to live in alignment with your values. It's not about creating walls between you and others, but rather about cultivating a healthier, more honest space for interaction. The next time someone tries to ignore or cross your boundaries, remember Marcus Aurelius' words. Respect yourself enough to stand firm. Communicate your limits without guilt and do so with kindness and clarity. If you feel hesitant, ask yourself, what's more important? Temporary discomfort in saying no, or long-term peace in knowing that you have upheld your values? The choice is yours, and it's a choice that defines how you live and interact with the world. Protecting your boundaries is not about being rigid or unyielding. It's about showing yourself the same respect that you would wish for from others. Because, at the end of the day, maintaining your boundaries is not just about keeping others in check. It's about nurturing your own peace, integrity, and sense of self-worth. 6. A waste of your time. Time is one of our most precious resources, and once it's gone, there's no getting it back. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of valuing time, and the wise Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This quote serves as a powerful reminder that, although our time is limited, we have the ability to make the most of it if we are conscious about how we spend it. Have you ever found yourself in situations where someone repeatedly wastes your time? Maybe they interrupt your work with trivial matters, invite you to activities that you don't enjoy, or make you wait unnecessarily. This might seem harmless at first, but over time it can become a significant drain on your energy and focus. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us to be mindful of how we allocate our time and to ensure that it aligns with our values and priorities. When you let others consume your time with distractions and unproductive engagements, you're allowing them to pull you away from what truly matters to you. Why is it so important to protect your time? Because once lost, time cannot be regained. Every moment is an opportunity to grow, learn, and make progress towards your goals. Allowing others to waste your time is effectively letting them steer you away from your purpose and what truly adds value to your life. Protecting your time means showing respect for yourself and your ambitions. It is a statement that your dreams, goals, and aspirations are significant, and they deserve your full attention and energy. This doesn't mean you should be cold or dismissive, but it does mean being intentional about how you want to live your life. Think of time like money. Each minute spent is an investment, and you wouldn't want to invest in something that brings no return. Consider a modern example: a professional who finds himself constantly pulled into unnecessary meetings. Each meeting cuts into time that could have been spent working on a project, advancing a skill, or even resting. Over weeks and months, these lost hours add up, not just in wasted time, but in lost opportunities. By learning to set boundaries and say no to meetings that don't serve his purpose, he is reclaiming that time to focus on what truly matters, whether it's advancing in his career, learning something new, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. This is the essence of what Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches: to live a life of purpose and clarity, where every action is deliberate and meaningful. But how do you protect your time without feeling guilty or offending others? It starts by being clear about your priorities. You will start to recognize which activities and engagements contribute to your growth and which ones are simply distractions. If someone asks for your time and it doesn't align with your priorities, don't be afraid to decline politely. As Seneca reminds us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. This wisdom encourages us to guard our time, just as we would guard any other precious resource. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in a whirlwind of distractions. Social media notifications, emails, and constant demands on your attention can make it feel like there's never enough time to focus on what truly matters. Yet, Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us that by learning to prioritize, we can take back control. It's not about being inflexible or selfish. It's about consciously choosing how to spend the finite time we have. Prioritize activities that bring you joy, contribute to your goals, and enhance your well-being. This might mean carving out time for a hobby, dedicating a few hours a day to a project you care about, or even just setting aside moments of quiet reflection. Remember, every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you are, in effect, saying no to something that does. One story that illustrates this well is of a man named Richard, who spent years of his career feeling perpetually busy but unfulfilled. He was always on the move, attending every event he was invited to, agreeing to every extra task at work, and even taking on commitments from friends that he didn't truly want. Despite all his activity, he never felt like he was making progress. It wasn't until he started applying the principles of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism that things began to change. He learned to ask himself whether each commitment was genuinely valuable to him. If it wasn't, he would politely decline, and gradually, he found that his days were less chaotic and more meaningful. By the end of each week, he felt a sense of achievement, knowing he had spent his time on things that truly mattered to him. Let's start valuing your time today. Begin by assessing how you currently spend your days. Are there activities or commitments that drain your energy without adding value? Consider what you could achieve if you redirected that time towards something more fulfilling. And don't be afraid to say no when someone tries to take your time for things that do not align with your goals. As the Stoics would tell you, protecting your time is not about rejecting others. It's about cherishing your life and ensuring that each moment counts. The next time someone tries to draw you into an unnecessary engagement, think of Seneca's words and choose wisely. Your time is your life. When you protect it, you are protecting your potential, your goals, and your peace of mind. This isn't about being rigid. It's about living purposefully. Every time you decide to spend your time on something meaningful, you are making a statement about what matters to you. So prioritize what is important, be clear about your values, and don't be afraid to guard your time. Because as Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us, time, once lost, is gone forever. Protect it fiercely, use it wisely, and live a life that truly reflects who you are and what you stand for. Seven, destructive criticism. Criticism can take two forms, constructive or destructive. Constructive criticism is invaluable because it aims to help you grow and improve, offering insights that push you toward betterment. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is designed to hurt, undermine, or belittle, often carrying no purpose other than to tear you down. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism. teaches us the value of discernment when dealing with criticism. As Marcus Aurelius himself said, "If someone can show me my mistakes and prove that I am doing something wrong, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." What hurts is to persist in one's own self-deception and ignorance. This quote encourages us to welcome feedback that fosters growth while rejecting those critiques that serve no purpose, but to diminish our self-worth. Think about a scenario where someone consistently criticizes you, not with the intention of helping you improve, but to make you feel inadequate or unworthy. Maybe it's a colleague who always finds a flaw in your work without offering any suggestions. Or perhaps it's someone in your personal life who points out your weaknesses without showing any empathy. This kind of destructive criticism can erode your confidence and make you question your abilities. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism advises us to be wise in distinguishing between feedback that can guide us towards improvement and criticism that merely aims to harm. Constructive criticism, though sometimes hard to hear, is a tool for self-reflection and progress. Destructive criticism, however, should be recognized for what it is, a tactic to unsettle you, and it should be handled with the resolve not to let it affect your sense of self. Why is it essential to reject destructive criticism? Because accepting it without reflection can lead you to doubt your own worth, skills, and decisions. Destructive criticism doesn't add anything of value to your life. It only serves to destabilize your emotions and shake your self-assurance. It is like letting someone chip away at the foundation of your confidence one remark at a time. On the contrary, constructive criticism, even if it stings a little, offers the chance for genuine growth and learning. As Seneca wisely put it, "A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver." Applying this idea to criticism, it is the intention behind the words that matters, whether they are meant to help or to hurt. When you choose to reject destructive criticism, you are actively protecting your mental and emotional well-being. You set a standard of respect in your interactions, making it clear that you will not allow anyone to treat you with disrespect or malice. This not only strengthens your self-esteem, but also shifts your focus to what truly matters: your personal development and growth. Consider the story of Tom, a man who spent years listening to his boss's constant harsh criticism. Instead of receiving guidance on how to improve, he was left feeling inferior, as if nothing he did was ever good enough. One day, he decided he would no longer internalize these words. Instead, he sought feedback from others who genuinely wanted to see him grow. With time, Tom's confidence grew, and he learned to filter out negative, unhelpful comments. He wasn't ignoring feedback altogether. He was just choosing to focus on criticism that had substance, that could lead to tangible improvement. This change in mindset empowered him to advance in his career without the weight of unnecessary negativity dragging him down. In today's fast-paced world, it's all too common to encounter criticism, some of it constructive, much of it not. Social media platforms, for instance, have amplified the voices of critics who, more often than not, are quick to judge without understanding the full picture. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism can help us navigate this environment by reminding us to stay focused on our own path and not be swayed by every negative comment that comes our way. 7.1. Start by listening objectively. If the criticism is constructive, embrace it, even if it's uncomfortable. Thank the person for their insights, reflect on what was said, and consider how you can apply it to improve yourself. However, if the criticism is destructive, don't internalize it. Recognize it, address it if necessary, but do not let it make a home in your mind. Just as Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches, keep your focus on seeking the truth and advancing your personal growth. You're not obligated to take every comment to heart. You are only responsible for discerning what is worth your attention and what is not. The next time someone offers you feedback, remember the wise words of Marcus Aurelius. Welcome the truth that aids your development, but reject the ignorance that seeks to harm you. Don't be afraid to ask yourself, Does this criticism help me become a better version of myself, or is it merely an attempt to bring me down? In the end, you are in control of how you react to criticism. By choosing to prioritize constructive feedback, you align yourself with a path of growth, resilience, and wisdom. Protect your mind from the negativity of destructive remarks, and don't let anyone's attempt to undermine you veer you off course. Criticism, when constructive, can be a valuable tool for improvement. However, destructive criticism should be acknowledged and discarded, not internalized. By being discerning, you preserve your emotional health and stay committed to your personal and professional goals. You set a tone in your relationships that encourages respect and integrity. And most importantly, by focusing on truth and progress, you live a life in accordance with Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism. A life of purpose, strength, and unwavering confidence. So the next time you face criticism, take a moment to evaluate its intent, embrace what can help you grow, and let go of what is meant to hold you back. In doing so, you build a foundation of resilience, allowing you to move forward with clarity and courage. 8. Lack of empathy. Now, let's explore the 8th thing you should never accept from anyone. A lack of empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, and it is a fundamental element in building healthy, meaningful relationships. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us the importance of kindness and understanding in our daily interactions. As Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This powerful statement emphasizes that empathy is not just a nice-to-have trait. It is essential for connecting with others and creating a world where people feel seen, heard, and valued. Think about a situation where someone close to you shows a complete lack of empathy. Perhaps they dismiss your emotions, brush off your concerns, or show little interest in your well-being. This can be particularly painful because it makes you feel isolated, as if your experiences don't matter. When people disregard your feelings, it's not just a sign of their insensitivity, it's also a failure to connect on a basic human level. The teachings of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism remind us that empathy and kindness are the foundations of a virtuous life, and they are necessary for maintaining strong, healthy relationships. Without empathy, relationships become shallow, transactional, and devoid of real understanding and support. Why is it so important not to tolerate a lack of empathy? Because empathy is what allows us to build genuine connections with others. It's the reason why friendships, partnerships, and even professional relationships can flourish. Without empathy, there is no true understanding, and without understanding, there is no support. When someone consistently shows a lack of empathy, it can make you feel undervalued and alone, impacting your emotional well-being. It is important to recognize this behavior because accepting it can lead to unhealthy patterns in your interactions, where your feelings are ignored or minimized. There's a story of Emily, who had a close friend that she always supported, offering a listening ear whenever they needed to vent or share their struggles. But when Emily went through a difficult time, that same friend wasn't there for her. They didn't take the time to listen, dismissed her feelings, and acted as though her problems were insignificant. Over time, Emily began to realize that this lack of empathy wasn't just a one-off occurrence, it was a pattern. She felt neglected and hurt because she had given so much of herself without receiving the same level of care in return. Eventually, Emily decided to address the issue, explaining how she felt and setting boundaries. This was not about creating distance, but about ensuring her emotional needs were respected. She realized that surrounding herself with people who could empathize and show genuine care was crucial for her own well-being. What does this teach us? It shows that empathy is not just about being kind. It's about creating a space where people can share, feel safe, and know that their feelings are acknowledged. When someone close to you fails to show empathy, it's not just an oversight, it's a sign of a deeper disconnect. Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism, encourages us to seek relationships that uplift and support us, and that begins with empathy. If you find that someone consistently lacks empathy, it may be time to reevaluate that relationship. This doesn't mean you should immediately cut people out of your life, but it does mean setting clear boundaries and communicating how you expect to be treated. Empathy allows for deeper, more authentic connections, and when you surround yourself with empathetic people, you create a support network that lifts you up. Imagine how much stronger and more fulfilling your relationships would be if you knew that the people around you genuinely cared about your well-being. When empathy is present, it becomes easier to share your struggles, celebrate your successes, and navigate life's challenges. Without it, every interaction feels colder, and every misunderstanding feels more pronounced. The lack of empathy often leads to a cycle of disconnection, where neither person feels understood, and communication breaks down. Now, start by recognizing it and deciding how it affects you. Are you feeling unheard, dismissed, or devalued? If so, it's important to communicate your feelings openly. Let the other person know that empathy is important to you, and that you need them to be present to listen and to show care. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism teaches us that kindness is a strength, not a weakness, and advocating for empathy is a way of promoting that strength. It's also important to remember that not everyone has been taught or shown how to be empathetic, so your conversation could be an opportunity for growth. But if, after trying, you find that the lack of empathy persists, it might be necessary to distance yourself from that dynamic to protect your own mental and emotional health. Empathy is at the heart of every meaningful connection. When you refuse to accept a lack of empathy, you are choosing to value yourself and your emotional experiences. You are communicating that your feelings matter, and that genuine, supportive relationships are worth more than shallow interactions. By focusing on empathy, you can build deeper, more fulfilling relationships that nurture and strengthen you. As Marcus Aurelius Stoicism teaches, living a life of virtue involves embracing empathy, understanding, and kindness. So, seek out people who listen, who care, and who are willing to understand your perspective. These are the relationships that will support you through life's ups and downs, and they are worth cherishing. The next time someone shows a lack of empathy, don't let it undermine your sense of worth. Instead, set your boundaries, seek connections that uplift you, and remember that true empathy is a gift that enriches both the giver and the receiver. 9. Constant negativity. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism reminds us that while we cannot always control the world around us, we can control how we interpret and respond to it. Epictetus, a key Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." This insight emphasizes the power of our perception and mindset in shaping our reality. When you allow negativity to dominate your thoughts, it becomes a filter through which everything appears bleak. But if you maintain a positive attitude, you can find peace and joy even in challenging times. Consider what it's like to be surrounded by people who constantly see the downside of everything, who endlessly complain and carry a pessimistic outlook on life. Such negativity is not just draining, it can also affect your mood, making you see the world through a similar, dark lens. Over time, this can lead to a cycle of anxiety, frustration, and even hopelessness. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism teaches us to guard our peace of mind by focusing on what we can control and maintaining a positive, resilient outlook. When you find yourself surrounded by negativity, it's crucial to remember that while you can't change how others think, you do have the power to decide how their words and actions impact you. Why is it essential to avoid constant negativity? Because negativity can pollute your mind and spirit, just as a toxic substance can make the body sick. Persistent exposure to negative energy can cloud your thoughts, making it harder to appreciate the good things in life. This kind of mental environment saps your motivation, drains your optimism, and prevents you from approaching challenges with a mindset of resilience and hope. Imagine a garden that's been overrun by weeds. The flowers struggle to bloom because they're choked by what doesn't belong there. Your mind is no different. When you're surrounded by negativity, it becomes difficult to see the positives, to find joy, and to thrive. It's crucial to protect yourself from constant negativity, because it can erode your ability to face life's challenges with strength and optimism. Being aware of your mental environment allows you to make deliberate choices about who you spend your time with and what kind of energy you absorb. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending that everything is perfect. Rather, it means choosing to adopt a mindset that looks for solutions rather than dwelling on difficulties and seeking out the good even when times are tough. As Seneca said, "A man's true delight is to do the things he was made for." If you allow negativity to dominate your mind, it becomes harder to find your purpose and harder to act on it. By keeping a positive outlook, you can stay focused on your path no matter what obstacles arise. Let's start by identifying where it's coming from. Are there people in your life who seem to always bring a dark cloud with them, no matter the situation? Maybe it's a friend who never has a kind word to say, or a colleague who always highlights the problems without considering solutions. While it's not always possible to completely avoid these people, you can limit your exposure and decide how much of their negativity you allow into your thoughts. When you find yourself caught in a negative conversation, try to gently steer it towards a more positive, constructive direction. If that doesn't work, don't be afraid to set boundaries. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism encourages us to protect our inner peace by not engaging in battles that drain our energy unnecessarily. 9.1. Another way to combat negativity is by seeking out positive influences. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who see the world with optimism, and who lift you up rather than bring you down. Choose to engage in activities that brighten your day, whether it's reading an uplifting book, spending time in nature, or engaging in a hobby that brings you joy. These small positive actions can have a big impact on your mental state. As Epictetus pointed out, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. By focusing on positive responses, you gradually build resilience, making it easier to face negativity without letting it affect your core. Do you sometimes let the pessimism of others color your own outlook on life? The next time you encounter negativity, remember that you have the power to reinterpret the situation, to find a perspective that serves you rather than drags you down. It's about deciding not to let other people's gloom become your reality. When you choose to focus on the positives, even in the midst of challenges, you are embracing the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism. By taking control of your mind and choosing peace over turmoil. In conclusion, constant negativity is something you should never accept from anyone, because it has the potential to rob you of your joy, your motivation, and your clarity. Protecting yourself from it means setting boundaries, seeking out supportive, positive influences, and consciously deciding how you interpret the world around you. Remember, it is not about denying the existence of difficulties, but about facing them with a mindset that allows you to overcome them. By choosing to focus on what you can control, by finding the silver linings even when the clouds seem dark, you are practicing the essence of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism. You are creating a life of resilience, strength, and peace, where negativity has no place. Surround yourself with those who encourage you. Seek out the good in every situation, and don't let the darkness of others cast a shadow over your light. 10. Emotional manipulation. Now let's address the 10th thing you should never accept from anyone: emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is a form of control where someone attempts to influence your feelings and actions for their own gain. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us the importance of being the master of our own emotions and thoughts, emphasizing the need for inner control. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This means that when you allow someone else to manipulate your emotions, you're handing over control of your peace and contentment to them. Therefore, maintaining sovereignty over your thoughts and feelings is essential for a fulfilling and authentic life. Think about what it's like when someone in your life constantly uses emotional manipulation tactics. It could be through guilt, intimidation, or even emotional blackmail, subtle ways to make you feel obligated, anxious, or even fearful, just so you do what they want. This can have a deep impact on your self-esteem and independence, leading you to feel trapped and resentful. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism urges us to be vigilant in guarding our minds against such external pressures, teaching that we must remain the owners of our emotions and not allow others to dictate how we should feel or act. The Stoics believe that true freedom lies in emotional self-mastery, where your state of mind is not swayed by external forces, but remains calm, clear, and steady. Why is it so crucial to avoid emotional manipulation? Because when you allow someone to manipulate your emotions, you are essentially giving away your personal power. This can lead to decisions that are not aligned with your true values and desires, decisions that might make you feel conflicted, unhappy, or trapped. Imagine being in a situation where you're pressured into making choices out of fear, guilt, or the need to appease someone else's demands. Over time, this erodes your sense of self, making it difficult to know what you truly want or believe. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches that we should always strive to live in alignment with our core values, and to do that, we must first ensure that our emotions are under our control, not manipulated by someone else's agenda. To truly protect yourself from emotional manipulation, it's important to recognize it for what it is. Manipulators are often subtle, using tactics like guilt-tripping, playing the victim, or gaslighting to make you feel responsible for their emotions. They might say things like, "If you cared about me, you would do this," or, "You're the reason I'm upset," shifting the burden of their feelings onto you. This can lead to a constant cycle where you are trying to manage their emotions at the cost of your own mental and emotional well-being. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism encourages us to remain centered and not be swayed by such tactics. Instead of reacting to emotional manipulation, we should calmly set boundaries, communicate clearly, and make decisions based on rational thought rather than guilt or pressure. In the story of David, who often found himself at the mercy of a colleague who would use guilt to offload tasks onto him. Whenever a project deadline loomed, his colleague would complain about being overwhelmed and subtly imply that if David didn't help, it would be his fault if things went wrong. For a long time, David felt compelled to pick up the slack, fearing that he would be seen as unsupportive or selfish. But over time, he realized that this dynamic was draining his energy and diverting him from his own priorities. Inspired by the teachings of Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism, David began to set clear boundaries. He learned to say, "I understand you're under pressure, but I also have my own responsibilities that need my attention." This shift allowed him to regain control over his time and emotions, and it sent a clear message that he would no longer be manipulated into actions that weren't aligned with his own goals. This example teaches us that rejecting emotional manipulation isn't about being cold or dismissive. It's about respecting yourself enough to set boundaries. By doing so, you communicate that your emotions and decisions are yours to control, and you will not allow others to exploit them for their own purposes. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This freedom starts with knowing your own mind, understanding your emotions, and recognizing when someone is attempting to steer them for their benefit. Setting boundaries may not always be easy, but it is a vital act of self-respect and autonomy. The next time someone tries to manipulate your feelings, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Choose to keep your thoughts free from manipulation and your decisions aligned with your values. This doesn't mean avoiding difficult emotions or challenging situations, but rather approaching them with a mindset that is true to who you are not who someone else wants you to be. Emotional manipulation is a subtle yet powerful form of control that can erode your self-confidence and autonomy if you allow it. By learning to recognize manipulation and setting firm boundaries, you protect your emotional well-being and ensure that your actions reflect your own desires and values, not the coercive tactics of others. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism teaches that we must be the masters of our own minds, guiding our thoughts and emotions with wisdom and not allowing external forces to lead us astray. So the next time you encounter manipulation, stand firm in your self-worth, set clear boundaries, and remember that your emotions are yours to navigate. Protect your autonomy by living in alignment with your true self, and do not allow anyone to steer your feelings for their own gain. 11. Constant disapproval. When you're subjected to continuous disapproval, it can slowly erode your confidence and self-esteem, making you feel as if you're never good enough. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own perceptions and not let external opinions dictate our self-worth. As Seneca wisely said, "Don't worry about what others think of you, unless they respect you." This quote emphasizes that we should not give undue importance to the opinions of those who do not truly value or appreciate us. Constant disapproval can make you feel small, as if your actions, decisions, and even your successes are never quite right in the eyes of others. But the teachings of the Stoics remind us that our worth should not be determined by the approval or criticism of others. It should come from our own understanding of who we are and the efforts we put into our lives. Think about how draining it can be to have someone in your life who always finds something to criticize. Perhaps it's a colleague who is never satisfied with your work, or a family member who constantly points out your flaws, or maybe it's a friend who never seems to acknowledge your achievements. This kind of unrelenting disapproval doesn't just affect how you see yourself, it can also hold you back from reaching your full potential. Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism encourages us to cultivate inner strength and resilience, so we don't let external judgments hinder our growth. Continuous criticism can create an environment of doubt, where you begin to second-guess every choice you make. But when you learn to draw confidence from within, you can stand firm, even in the face of disapproval. Living under a cloud of negativity prevents you from seeing your own worth, and it makes you doubt your abilities and decisions. Imagine being on a path towards your goals, but every step forward is met with someone telling you that you're not good enough, that your choices are wrong, or that you should be doing things differently. This can be discouraging and may even cause you to abandon your goals altogether. But Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own purpose and to not be distracted by those who do not see our vision. Seneca's advice is particularly relevant here. Don't let the opinions of those who don't respect you weigh you down. Your self-esteem should be built on your own actions and efforts, not on the fluctuating approval of others. A real-life example of this can be seen in the story of Jake, a man who spent years trying to live up to the expectations of his father, who was constantly critical of his career choices. No matter how hard Jake worked or how much he achieved, his father would always find something to disapprove of. At first, Jake tried to change his approach, hoping that by doing things differently, he could finally earn his father's praise. But over time, he realized that no matter what he did, the disapproval never stopped. This constant criticism made Jake feel inadequate, and it held him back from pursuing his own passions. Eventually, Jake decided to take a step back and reflect on what truly mattered to him. Inspired by Marcus Aurelius' Stoicism, he learned to focus on his own goals and to stop seeking validation from someone who didn't appreciate his efforts. By building his confidence from within and not allowing his father's disapproval to dictate his life, Jake was able to find success and happiness on his own terms. This story highlights a key lesson. Constant disapproval can be a heavy burden, but you have the power to lift it by choosing where you place your focus. When you stop letting the negativity of others influence your self-perception, you regain control over your own life. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism encourages us to seek constructive criticism, feedback that helps us grow, but to reject criticism that is meant only to diminish us. At the heart of this lesson is a message about self-worth. You should not let others' disapproval define who you are. If you rely solely on external validation, you will always be at the mercy of others' opinions. Instead, build your confidence on your own actions, your own progress, and your own achievements. Surround yourself with people who see your potential and encourage you to be your best. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism teaches that a life well lived is one where you pursue your true purpose, unencumbered by the judgments of those who do not understand your journey. As you grow more confident in your own abilities, the disapproval of others will lose its power over you, and you will be able to move forward with clarity and strength. Constant disapproval is something you should never accept from anyone. It can drain your confidence, cloud your judgment, and hold you back from living a fulfilling life. By refusing to be weighed down by endless criticism, you are standing up for your own self-esteem and asserting your right to be who you are. Take Seneca's advice to heart. Don't worry about what others think of you unless they respect you. Focus on your own goals. Trust in your ability to make the right decisions and surround yourself with people who lift you up rather than tear you down. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism teaches that peace and happiness come from within, from knowing who you are and what you stand for. So the next time you encounter constant disapproval, remember that your worth is not defined by others' opinions. Embrace your strengths, trust your path, and don't let negativity divert you from your purpose. Made it to the end? That shows your strength in protecting your peace and principles. Comment, "Respect starts with me," if you're ready to embrace these Stoic lessons. Stick around. More insights are on the way. 12. Lack of support. Mutual support is a cornerstone of healthy relationships, whether it's with friends, family, or colleagues. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism teaches us to be self-reliant, but also to recognize the strength that comes from having a network of supportive people around us. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This wisdom serves as a reminder that while we can't control everything that happens to us, the support of those close to us can greatly influence how we navigate life's challenges. Being surrounded by supportive people makes it easier to face difficulties, recover from setbacks, and celebrate successes. It's about having a community that uplifts you, not one that leaves you feeling isolated. Think about how it feels when someone you trust and care about fails to be there for you in times of need. Maybe it's a friend who doesn't check in during tough times, a family member who doesn't show up when it matters most, or a colleague who doesn't lend a hand when you're overwhelmed. This lack of support can make you feel invisible, unappreciated, and even disconnected, as if your efforts and emotions don't matter. Marcus Aurelius Stoicism reminds us that while we should cultivate inner strength and resilience, having a solid support system is essential for well-being. Stoicism doesn't mean going through life alone. It means finding strength both within ourselves and in our connections with others. When you know there are people who have your back, it empowers you to take on challenges with greater confidence and hope. Why is it crucial to reject a lack of support? Because everyone, no matter how strong or independent, needs support at different points in their lives. Being denied that support can make you feel isolated, and it can erode your ability to cope with stress and adversities. We are social beings, and having people who encourage, motivate, and stand by us is vital for our emotional and mental health. Imagine trying to lift a heavy weight alone. It's possible, but it's exhausting and risky. But when someone steps in to share the load, everything feels lighter, more manageable, and less daunting. This is what support does. It lightens your emotional burdens and gives you the strength to keep moving forward. Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism, teaches us to seek resilience, and part of that resilience comes from knowing when to lean on others and allow them to be there for us. Consider the story of Laura, who was trying to balance a demanding job while caring for a sick parent. Her friends would often tell her to stay strong and manage things on her own, but they never offered practical help or even a listening ear. Over time, Laura felt overwhelmed and burnt out because she had no one to turn to. One day, she decided to have an honest conversation with her friends, expressing her need for support. To her surprise, they hadn't realized how much she was struggling, and once she opened up, they began to offer help, from running errands to just sitting with her to talk. By asking for what she needed and setting an expectation for support, Laura strengthened her connections and found herself better equipped to handle her responsibilities. This is the essence of Marcus Aurelius Stoicism. Recognizing when you need assistance and not being afraid to ask for it, because there is strength in vulnerability. Rejecting a lack of support doesn't mean expecting others to solve all your problems. It means valuing yourself enough to seek out and maintain connections that are mutually uplifting. When you make it clear that you won't accept relationships that drain or neglect you, you're setting a standard for how you wish to be treated. You're affirming that your well-being matters, and that you deserve to be surrounded by people who care, who show up, and who offer a hand when needed. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone who isn't perfect, but it does mean recognizing which relationships add value to your life and which ones consistently leave you feeling unsupported and alone. Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism encourages us to choose our circle wisely, to cultivate friendships that nourish the soul, and to distance ourselves from those that consistently fail to meet our basic needs for empathy and support. Choose to be around those who lift you up, who listen, and who care about your well-being. When you surround yourself with supportive individuals, you create a safety net that helps you take risks, pursue your goals, and weather life's storms with resilience and grace. And just as importantly, you offer the same support to others, building a community of mutual respect and care. In conclusion, a lack of support is something you should never accept from anyone. It's essential to have people in your life who stand by you, who celebrate your achievements, and who help you through difficult times. By valuing support, you are acknowledging your worth and your need for meaningful, positive connections. Take to heart the teachings of Marcus Aurelius Stoicism, which emphasizes the balance between self-reliance and knowing when to seek assistance. When you set boundaries and make it clear that you will not tolerate a lack of support, you are choosing to invest in relationships that add joy, strength, and comfort to your life. As we wrap up, remember that protecting your peace and self-respect means knowing what you should never accept from others. Keep these Stoic principles in mind, and you'll find yourself standing stronger and wiser in all aspects of life. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming insights on living a Stoic, empowered life. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.